Welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast, where we sit down and have real conversations with business leaders that have been where you are. During these interviews, we'll dive into what it takes to improve systems and champion processes that maximize performance. Each week, our trailblazing guests share their experiences and understanding of the workforce to help inspire change, challenge our thinking, and share what it takes to successfully travel the road to profitability. Now here's our host, co-founder and chief evangelist of About Time and WorkMax, Mike Merrill. Hello and welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Merrill, and today we are sitting down with my good friend, Barney. Brian is the host of the Eastmans Elevated podcast, also the Eastmans Flycast, as well as a journal staff writer for Eastman's Bowhunting Journal. And also, Brian owns his own construction company, so that we thought he'd be an interesting and a fabulous guest to have on and kind of talk about some of the things that he's involved in and also how he's been able to build success in his life and around his business, including maintaining a family and balancing all those things in life that can be a challenge for a lot of us entrepreneurs or executives, field managers, people that are in construction trying to balance busy schedules. So grateful to have you on the show today, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me on, Mike. Yeah, it's a bit different to come on and talk about entrepreneurship and talk about business, but I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know you're used to talking hunting and fishing and both things that I love also, but and then also you're used to being the host too. So maybe this will be a little bit fun for you to be a guest.
Oh, it's so easy to be a guest. Yeah, all the pressure's on you for the good questions, and all I do is have to answer. But yeah, looking forward to it, man.
Okay, awesome. Well, looking forward to the conversation today, and we'll just get started. So I guess a term that we hear, not just in construction, but in business a lot is, the term working smarter, not just harder. What does that mean to you in your life?
Gosh, that's a great question. For us, working smarter, not harder. I pride myself on hard work, so we do work hard as well, and it just goes hand in hand that to build, these projects, it takes hundreds of thousands of man hours. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. I would say the smarter side is just I gain experience throughout years of doing this, and I'm able to foresee issues that may arise or see shortcomings where things may fall short. And so I'm able to plan for that and plan around that. And also throughout the years, I've built a really good reputation and a good business that we stand behind our work. And so a big part of working smarter for me is knowing the value of myself and knowing the value of my company. It seemed like when I was starting out, I needed these jobs so bad that I'd almost cut my own throat to get them to where, I'd barely make wages or barely break even, could barely pay the guys to where now, I know my value as a business and I know, my value as a contractor here in this valley, the Madison Valley at Ennis, Montana. So I know my value. And I charge accordingly for it and make sure that my business thrives and make sure that I thrive. And I definitely don't overcharge, but definitely know my value now.
Yeah, that's great. That's something we can all learn from. And I think most people can relate to that. I mean, I definitely, my younger years as a contractor, I bought a lot of jobs, whether I meant to or not. I mean, I was basically paying money to go do work for other people. And you learn pretty quick that that's a losing game. That's not one you can keep up and make up in volume later, right?
Well, you do, but you also have to reinvest yourself. You have to create this business and create this name. And too many people aren't patient enough in business and realize that it takes years to gain the reputation. Like I've had my own business for 20 years, but to start my business, I was doing all the work that nobody else wanted to do, the re-roofs, the re-sidings, the tough remodels. Like it wasn't custom home after custom home. So I think starting out as a business, you do have to offer a good price to people, and you do have to make your business attractive for people so you have a chance to build this reputation. And so it's such a fine line between knowing your worth and charging correctly for it, but not overcharging for what the market is. Or you do need to get some of these jobs and keep working, and sometimes it is to keep the guys busy, or it is to reinvest in your business. So there's some of that goes on as well.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because that's actually an important point that we need to remember also. Like the long game is really what we're playing. This is a I know you're a runner like I am. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right? We got to play for the whole race, not just this lap, right?
Man, that's it. And like construction, it's standing behind your work. And if I'm in the right, I'm gonna stand by my ground and let the client know like what is the right way to handle this and the steps I took. But if I made a mistake, it's owning up to it. And so much of this construction and building your business is like standing behind your work. And in a home, there's so much maintenance that goes on, and we're really responsible for these houses for the next 10 years if anything comes up. And there's always things that come up, but always standing behind my work, standing behind my guy's work. And if something isn't right, or if it's just a maintenance issue, like I'm over there and I'm fixing it on my buck, because I believe, especially in the small town, but anywhere, all these businesses are built on reputation and word of mouth. And so it's so important in my little community. And so there's a lot of jobs where I've had to go back and I've had to work for free, and I've had to correct things, for free, that, that really it's reinvesting back in my business and making sure that my reputation stands the test of time.
Yeah, that's a great point too. So tell me this: how important does technology become in your particular business? Obviously, you're a unique type of business. Every business is different into itself, but what role does technology play in you working smarter, not just harder?
Oh, good question. I may be the wrong guy to ask, as we're pretty old school, but definitely technology and tools and things of that nature. The Gradles are just a game changer, and they cost a lot of money to have on site, but the amount of man hours that it saves and the safety that it brings to a job site, being able to move materials around. So, I definitely say like the specialty tools that they have out there, and then like a big part of my business, or a big part of my role now in the business, is my client relationships. And so, I have to be in constant communication, whether that's through emails or through text. And you're given a grace of time to answer questions back, but you really need to be on the ball and be in communication with these clients and subcontractors and suppliers. And so being able to do that, on my phone, and it is a balance. It's one of those things that I have to do. If I'm going to have my nail bags on throughout the day, I can't have my phone ringing all day long. I've got to check it at lunch and return my calls, return emails at the end of the day, and really try to be efficient with my time. Like being a business owner, I need to put the time in on the job site with my bags on, but I also need to spend time with these client relationships. And so just being productive all times of the day, or on my lunch hour, or in the morning before work, or in the evening after work. And so I think technology really helps me like keep in touch with these clients. With the internet, there's so much research you can do on products, and so much research you can do on installation. Here in Ennis, Montana, we don't have huge labor forces. And so, for us, we do a lot of the work ourselves. And so, like I had a chance where I could have started another concrete countertop business, but we're just too busy with general construction that we only offer them to the clients that we build houses for. But I taught myself how to do it just by doing my own countertops and gaining that experience and reading and researching. And, so a lot of these things can be researched, and also like new products that come out. There's always new stuff hitting the market, and you want to have the best information for your clients out there. And like you are their knowledge base. And so like researching into different products and what's going to work best for a certain application is definitely advantageous.
Yeah, that's interesting. You state that. A couple things that come to mind. So obviously, you do self perform to a great degree on certain parts of the trades and on the homes that you're building. What is it that you use to decide? Hey, we're gonna do the foundation on this one, or we're gonna do the concrete, or maybe when you decide to sub things out, what is it that you use to make those types of decisions? And does it vary?
Yeah, it does vary. It varies, how much time we have as a construction company, how many houses we're doing or what stages they're in. But for us, really, it comes down to quality control. It's being able to control these aspects of the job. Well, quality control, and I would say like with the budget of our homes, I'm able to offer a home, that maybe a competitor can't build for the same price, and I'm able to make just as much or more money on it from handling all these tasks or all these subcontractor duties. Because when you hire these subs, everybody's making a profit all the way along, to where when I do it, I've got on staff guys that are trained from concrete to finish to hardwood floors. Like, we've done it all. And so, with our guys, I can charge wages, and then I can cut the price on these houses and do a house for $350 a square foot that another contractor would be $375. So it's part of the services I offer, but it's also quality control. It's I don't pay drive time from guys from Bozeman 60 miles away to drive here and drive back. I try to keep a lot of my money local as I can, but ultimately I'm working for this client and looking out for their best interests. So, like on the small stuff, if I can save money by going to Bozeman and grabbing that, I will. But for the most part, I try to keep local, and we just don't have a lot of options. Tough to find the right guys for the right price, I'll say. So, like, we do a lot of our own tile, our own hardwoods. We do our own finished carpentry, our own cabinets, our own concrete, our own framing, our own roofing, our own siding. Like, we take care of a lot of that. And so, it's kind of been out of necessity throughout the years, but it's built a really good business model for me, as well as, one home will keep me and my guys busy for 8 to 10 months throughout the progression of the project. So that's kind of how I decide. And like, there's such a markup in these different trades, like in concrete. And, I like doing concrete, and I can have my crew working on framing on a job, and I can go over with a guy, and I can set up an entire foundation from footings to walls to slabs. And I take a lot of pride in my concrete work, and there's good money to be made there. And so if I'm good enough to get the job, why pass this money down the road to somebody else for a job that I can do myself and do it better or as good as?
Yeah, and that speaks a lot for you. Obviously, you have a pretty deep work ethic. I mean, you can't do that kind of heavy work and that kind of grueling work unless you just kind of love working. I mean, what do you think it is about your enjoyment of the work that seems to be so attractive to you and just a part of who you are?
Yeah. I would say, it's definitely a job, and it's making a living. And so, it's been able to support me. It's been able to support my family. And then, I'm able to use that money to get myself out of debt, to make other investments, to create passive income, to create and build this life that I want to live. Like, I have so much enjoyment in these adventure hunts, this backcountry hunting. It's like a deep passion I have. But, one of my mottos I say is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so, like, if I'm going to be a contractor, it started out working for a guy and just being passionate about my work and about my job, and trying to be the best carpenter on the crew, and not like in a competitive way versus everybody else, but just have that knowledge base for myself and really master the craft of carpentry and be as good as I can be. And so just paying attention and learning, and so much of life is like your attitude around things, like how you approach things. And so instead of being on the job site watching my watch, wondering how much time it's been or what hour I'm going to get off, I'm there seeing how much I can get done and what's the next step. And I'm trying to think through it, and I'm trying to build all these skills to eventually be able to have my own business. And then once I have my own business, it's keeping this good reputation, building this good name. And so I just wake up every day, every week, every month of what I need to get done. And, this business has created a great life for me and my family, and allowed me to live in this great small town with all this outdoor recreation around me. And so, like, I'm just really fortunate, and show up to try to work hard each and every day. And, I don't know. I don't know if it's a deep love sometimes. Like, sometimes I wonder if it's a love or a hate. Like, when I think about it, sometimes, like, it is a cause of stress and anxiety and things, but I just try to handle the problems as they come. And, the more years that I do it, the more experience that I gain, the better I am at problem solving, the better I am at handling issues, handling stress, believing in myself and my abilities and my construction company to also stand up for myself and not let myself get taken advantage of or walked all over. I am in customer service, but it's like there's a lot of people out there that would take advantage of you as well. And so, you have to be tough in business and look out for yourself. And so just learning all these lessons and just trying to be as good in life as I can in general, whether that's construction or with my family, or I'm bow hunting the peaks, which I truly love. So just trying to be good in life, I think would be my answer.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think one of the things that obviously I've noticed just over the years of getting to know you better and observing, what it is you're doing. I mean, you talk a lot about the homes you build and the work you do on your podcast, and I could tell that you do take great pride in it. And I have heard you say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I think one key point that I'd like to talk about a little bit is you mentioned, sometimes maybe it doesn't feel like such a deep love for the construction side, but is it because your why is something else? Like you want to go chase mule deer up in the high peaks with your bow, and so for that reason, you're going to work twice as hard on this construction thing so you can go do the other thing that really is you're more passionate about. Is that an accurate statement, you think?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think there's some truth to that. Like, work hard, play hard. Yeah, it is. Like, I always have some hunt in front of me that I'm working hard to get work done, to get to that place. And so, yeah, I think there is a bit of that I do love life so much and love this passion of backcountry hunting or whether it's fly fishing. And so, it does create this life, and I think that's it. It's like, I've created the life that I want to live. I enjoy working hard. I take pride. Like, I mean, I'm just this little carpenter from Ennis, Montana that now runs $1 million business. Like, that is wild to me. I'm just a common man that worked hard, put his head down, built this reputation, built this business, and now can have this great life. And, not that I'm, not that I'm making $1 million a year or anything like that, but the business is grossing more than that, which is amazing to me, that I've been able to create this out of just my work ethic and desire. And so, yeah, I take a lot of pride in that and pride in the reputation. So I definitely think it is that, like, I'm creating the life I want to live, and that's been through construction for me.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things, I mean, you've talked about family a little bit, and I know that's very important to you. You get into the kids' soccer games or whatever it is that their pursuits are. Also, I know that you try and involve them where you can in some of your adventures. But what do you think is your secret to getting so much done? I mean, a contractor that does so much of their own work instead of subbing everything out. I mean, that's a different deal than a paper contractor, so to speak, that's just got a list longer than your arm of subcontractors. How do you balance it all, and what's your secret, if you have one you could share?
Yeah, it's life is such a balance throughout everything. Like, I think that's one of the toughest challenges is to find balance in one's life. And so, when I first started out, I didn't have that balance. I was working every Saturday, Sunday, trying to meet these deadlines, putting this self-imposed pressure on myself. And everybody wants to get in their home tomorrow, but I've just done better at, like, managing expectations of clients, like being able to tell them that, hey, we have supply issues here. We're going to do a lot of the work ourselves, so we're going to have quality control. But we're going to have to be flexible with subcontractors' schedules. Like, all these guys are so busy right now that we may have to wait 2 weeks for them to get in. And so, just really managing these expectations up front and letting the client know how the job's going to go. And they're hiring me to be a leader because of my construction experience in the valley. And so, because of that, I need to lead and I need to let them know, like, how this project's going to go, and that it is going to take 10 to 12 months from start to finish. I don't work Saturdays and Sundays anymore. And not that I don't, usually I'm working on my own stuff, or, there's definitely, if there's a Saturday there, I'm willing to chip in. But I've just made these hard rules where it's just like, once you start working one Saturday, you're working every Saturday. And once you start working Sundays, you're working every Sunday. Then that's what the expectations are. And so, I try to let them know that we're all here in this valley to enjoy the same thing, and we're going to work hard on your place, and we're going to be here 5 days a week, and it's going to be done in a timely manner, but it's not going to be done tomorrow, or it's not going to be done by Christmas so you can move in. Like, it's going to be done in 10 to 12 months, like I told you. So I think just like making some hard lines with clients of what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, and being upfront about my hunting and saying, hey, this hunting's a big part of my life, and you're hiring the right guy for the job. We're going to do you a quality house, but I'm going to be gone a bunch in the fall. So we're going to need to make these decisions before this date. Then I'm going to be gone. I've got a project manager, whether that's my partner or one of my lead carpenters. He will be in charge. You'll have his phone number. If anything comes up, give him a call. I'll be back on this date and can handle things from there. So I'm just way more upfront and honest. And I realize like what I offer as a contractor is way more valuable than what's taken away from me being gone on a hunting trip, or me having to be gone for a basketball game or a soccer game or tournament or whatever it is. And so I've just got better at like really managing expectations and managing my business in my life, really, and not bending over backwards to some deadline from somebody that really doesn't know, when a house should be done in this valley. So I'd say that's like the biggest thing for getting balance of life for me in the construction field.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that comes to mind too, I mean, I know you mentioned having others take on those responsibilities in your absence, and communicating clearly about that. I am curious. You must have learned that the hard way at some point in your younger years. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough being a business owner. Like, nobody cares for your business and your reputation like you do. And you can get some really good guys, and if you train them up right, you may even have a lead guy that can do everything you can do, and cares for your business. But those guys are 1 in 100. Those guys are 1 in 20 anyways. Those are like really good lead guys that have their own businesses. And I'm lucky where I have a business partner, and he has a vested interest like I do and cares about the business like I do. And he knows his role is to cover for me during hunting season. Like, that's his main role in the business. And I can trust him for anything. He's all in, always willing to work hard, always willing to get things done, take charge, run a job site, whatever it is. He's got a vested interest like I do. But you're right. Like, I feel like I built myself as one of the best carpenters on the job site. So I'd handle a lot of the toughest tasks, and I'd be a leader on the job site. But then when I'd leave, things would fall apart because I didn't mentor those guys in leadership. I didn't mentor those guys. And I want to lead by example and show them what I want and be willing to work hard and lead from the front. But I also need those guys to perform when I'm not there. And I found that giving guys responsibility and giving them lead to get things done is where they really progress and learn the fastest. And so, yes, I have had to take a back seat where I'm the guy that does, all the high work on the trusses, and I do, whatever the toughest task is, usually is that's the one I'll take. And I had to really mentor my lead carpenter to take over for me when I couldn't be on the job site all the time, or I had to be on a job site and he had to be on a job site. So like, I think a big part of a successful business for me is mentoring these guys. And I mentioned, like, they don't care for my business like I do at the beginning. These guys do care and do take pride in their work and want to do a good job. But there really is nobody that'll care for your business like you will. And so you can't just start a business and then set everybody else out on tasks and expect everything to come together. So I know that I have to lead, give these guys lead and give them responsibility responsibility and responsibility to make decisions and know what I want. And even if they make a bad choice, at least they made a choice and move forward. So it's really like mentoring these guys up, but just knowing that, I've got to come back and check on things. I've got to be on that job site. I've got to make sure that it gets done the way I want it to get done, while also giving lead to those guys. So I'm contradicting myself a bit, but it's just, again, like running a business is such a fine line between having your hands in too much and too much leadership and everything falls apart when you leave, or the other way of not having your hands in any of it and having the project go to hell because you're not keeping an eye on things and you're not managing from the front. And so it's a real fine line for me and a real balance. And one of the things that really helps me is a partner that cares as much as I do. So that's what gives me a lot of my freedom to go on these trips and things. So.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. So having a partner or somebody else with a vested interest that maybe doesn't have those same passions and pursuits, because if he wants to go hunting during the same time you do, then you got a problem, right?
Yeah, that it would not make for a good partnership for me. But yeah, fortunately, if they like to rifle hunt when you like to bow hunt, works out pretty good. And two, it's just looking out for your employees. Like really taking care of them. There's a lot of work out there and a lot of good construction jobs, and like creating a good work environment, like taking care of these guys. It's spreading the wealth when you're making money. Bonuses go a long ways. Good hourly rate for the guys that are working hard for you and earning it. And so really taking care of these guys, and then also, letting them have their time too. And I have employees. We live in Montana where, elk hunting's dang near a religion. And so like guys want to elk hunt as well. And yeah, if I've got an employee that wants to be gone for a week and he's planned it in advance, he should have his time too and be able to, enjoy this place we live at. So I try to create like a good work environment, and I expect hard work out of these guys and expect quality of work. But there too, like I want to make sure that they're enjoying life and well taken care of, and sharing in the reputation that they're helping build for Barney Construction.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that point up too, because I think, the culture of your company that you're building is, I mean, that is your reputation. When you're gone, they are speaking and working in your behalf, whether you realize it or not, right? As a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and not only when you're gone, when you're there, it's like multiple different jobs, and you have to have guys that represent you well and represent your quality of work. And so, good attitudes, they have to be cohesive. And I've got like a bad apple in the group before, where it just brings everything down, around that crew, and I've had to get rid of them before. And so, yeah, it is finding the right guys. And then once you find them, it's taking good care of those guys and making sure that they're getting compensated. And, a lot of times I'd almost take that deal. Like, I love being a business owner. I love this company that I started, but, it comes with a lot of stress and dealing with clients. And sometimes like paying a good wage and showing up with just my nail bags on looks pretty good. And the bosses always say that once they're boss. And I didn't realize it when I was a worker. But now that I'm the owner of the company, I definitely see that, where like, man, just show up and work my 8 hours, and work doesn't follow me home, or it isn't there in the morning, and my paycheck's there every 2 weeks. That would be pretty nice too.
Yeah, not such a bad gig, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So one of the things too that comes to mind, and you and I have a common friend. He's up out of Bozeman, but Cody Rich with the Rich Outdoors podcast and Backcountry Fuel. He's been a guest a couple of times talking about entrepreneurship and basically, the way he explained what he does, he kind of gives like a line of credit to his employees. Like basically, you start somebody out like, okay, they can make $100 decision, and I'm fine with that if they go ahead and make that. And then after they've made enough of those, well, now they can make $1,000 decisions. And as he's continued to give authority and the opportunity for those employees to be empowered to make those decisions that aren't, they're not going to be a huge deal, like a major problem, but they still need to be made correctly. And so I think his way of describing giving that line of credit to his staff has helped him to put those layers in. So when he wants to take September off and he wants to be gone hunting, he has that opportunity because his employees know how to make decisions, and they make them generally the way he would as well because he's given them that trust that they've earned.
Oh, it's so smart. I love that approach. It's such a great analogy. The credit and having them earn it along the way to make bigger decisions. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so and I think that's the thing with any small business. I mean, you're I know in my experience in my history, even in the software company, my construction company before, I mean, scaling is tough. That very first step where you really actually hire that person in your place to really run that crew or run that project out there in the field, and you now become an office manager basically you become more of a paper contractor. You really have to put a lot of trust in those guys that have the boots on the ground. So I love the idea of easing your way to that so that you can expand and kind of scale your business, whatever your goal is. If you're happy at the revenue you're at, you're living the life you want, that's fantastic. There's other people who, man, they want to grow their company to be $100 million, right? And so they're going to have to do that layering, 100 more times than maybe what you would have to achieve the goals that you have. Does that make sense to you too?
God, it makes complete sense. Yeah, it's so smart. Yeah, it's a great approach to business, and yeah, ultimately, that's what you want is you want your guys to get good enough to where you always have to have your hands on it, but basically the business runs itself, and everybody knows their job and knows where they're supposed to be, and so yeah, that's the beauty of building it. And the longer these guys work for me, the longer that guys work for a company, the more you understand the expectations, and the more you understand the decisions that you want to be made. And so, yeah, man, that's exactly it for scaling the business, for growing it, or even for running an efficient, effective business. I know when I have newer guys, I need to be on site more to where now, when I have experienced guys on site, I know they're going to make the right decisions. I know that they know how I want things done and in which order. And so, yeah, it means that I don't have to be on that job site as much and can put my effort in other places, which is great.
Yeah, I think one of the things going on right now. I mean, I was just recently at a large customer. They specialize in concrete work down in Texas, and they have about 350 to 400 employees. So they're pretty large. And I asked them how things were going in their market and how crazy it's been, and they told me, honestly, we could probably double in size even still. Like there's enough work that they could literally double again, but they're choosing not to. They're just getting really good at the size they're at and just keeping holes plugged and filling gaps and just managing because they're at a profitability level, they're at a revenue level where they think that this is good, we're good, we just want to keep writing this out for the next 8, 10 years, whatever it can be, so that we can retire and do those things that we want to do a little bit later in life. It sounds like even though you're not at that level, you're at a pretty good place right now where you really maybe aren't really too driven to grow and expand and double what you're doing. Is that right? Or what are your thoughts on your approach in this current market where a lot of guys are so busy they can't see straight and yet they still keep taking on more work?
Mhm. It's definitely a balance. It's tough in construction, and especially, we've worked so hard to get our business to the place where we're getting this really good work, and so it is tough. But yeah, I mean, you explained it perfectly. I'm the size I want to be, where we're 7 full-time employees, but where I can have hands on all these projects, where I can keep in communication with these clients. Biggie said it best: more money, more problems. Like, boy, if I doubled in size, it'd be twice as many problems. And, right now, for the size we are, we're at a great spot for revenue. We're at a great spot for work, and we're right in the niche to where we want to be. And so, yeah, any more for me, and I would be too busy and would start taking away from my balance of life with my family and from the things that I love to do. And so we're a really good size and no plans to expand, just taking the work that we can do. And as a construction company, I mean, I can't take another job until maybe the summer of 25. I'll still probably have a bunch of work to get done then. And I still have another house I've got to fit in there somewhere. So, I mean, I could be 25, 26 before we take any more work. And it's a beautiful thing as a small business to be booked out that far in advance. And so I just want to keep the quality of our work up. I want to live a good life, and I want my guys to live a good quality of life. And we're just going to keep carrying on the size we are. And then, a lot of it for me too is I have other interests. So, here I've got this construction company, but I've also got a whole nother career in the outdoor industry, running the podcast and videos and writing and public speaking, which I absolutely love to do with every fiber of my being. So, I've got a side business over there, or a side hustle over there. I've got my personal investments, and I can't remember if we were talking at the beginning of the podcast or before it, but I have a personal house going. And like you say, I keep rolling in like property and houses. It is just one of the best investments you can make in life. And when you're a carpenter, you own a construction business, you're able to build and sell these houses. And, from they passed the act in 1997, the capital gains or whatever, that we can build a house. And if we live in that house for 2 years, we don't pay any taxes on the profit we make. 250,000 per single individual, or 500,000 per couple. And so we're able to build these houses. And because we're a contractor, we're able to call in all our favors. We're able to do a lot of the work ourselves. We're able to have our construction company come in, help us with it, and we just pay the wages for it. So we're able to get these houses done more inexpensive than anybody else can do. And then we just, every couple of years, or I'm about every few years for me, is it takes at least that much time to forget all the pain and sacrifice of building these things evenings and weekends. But eventually we're life of a gypsy, and we build another house and we move into it. So I'm in that process now, but there's no rentals around. And so I have to live in my current house while I build the next house, and then I'll sell my current house. But so my business is a great place right now, and I just get these other revenue streams from different places through personal investments, through the outdoor industry. So it really makes for a good life for me. So I'm the perfect size right now.
I keep thinking, when do you sleep? It's to have a family, to have all that you have going on, and to put that kind of work in that you're doing, you must not sleep much.
Yeah, it's just normal. You get used to it. So, managing everything, now throwing a personal house on top of it. Yeah, I'm a bit out of sorts, or a bit busier than I normally am. But, I've been doing this for long enough where I can balance it. And for me, it's just being really efficient with my time. So it's waking up early and getting all my paperwork done, not procrastinating, making sure I'm in front of the materials, making sure I've got a plan for a week for the guys. And so do it long enough, and you build all these processes with my taking notes, with clients running these houses, decision sheets, that I've got it all down now, where I can just run through it, and I can run these jobs while juggling my personal house, while getting the podcast done and producing that. I work in the mornings early, or I'll work at night before everybody, after everybody goes to bed. So I just have a real good balance to my life, and it doesn't feel as chaotic as it sounds, like describing it to you. I definitely keep busy, but I like to be busy. Like, I'm happiest when I'm busy, and I have things on my mind. And us as humans, we get such satisfaction out of problem solving, and getting these houses done, or doing a personal house, and knowing I'm making this better move for myself and my family to set myself up for even a better life for the next 10 years, or the next 4 years, 5 years, until I do the next one. And so, I mean, to be able to live in today's day and age, and not have a house payment, not have a truck payment, everything I make goes into my bank account for adventures I want to do, or for retirement, or for my family, or whatever the case is. That's been a beautiful thing. And so, like, for me, like, the biggest part was like getting out of debt. And there was a long time running the construction company where, I mean, it was paycheck to paycheck and stressed over payrolls, but through time and through building this, able to to build this sustainable business that now can stand tough times. And now, we're okay. We can make payroll. It's not a huge issue. And so, like, I just feel so fortunate for the place I'm in and this business and life that I've been able to build, that it's just been great. And it's been through a lot of trial and error and a lot of experience. I didn't, I didn't study to be a great contractor. It's just something that I started down this path and then continued on it. And the further I get down in life, and the better I want to get at things, and the more knowledge I want to obtain, like, the better contractor I was able to be. So, life is really good for me, Mike. Like, it's just like I'm living the American dream. I'm living where I want, enjoying what I want, and create a great living for me and my family. And so, I couldn't be more fortunate.
Yeah, congratulations on doing that, because it's fun to watch you achieve these goals and dreams that you have, and also enjoy some of the adventures from afar, watching YouTube channels, and seeing you out at hunting or industry events. It's inspiring. And I've got to wonder, you know um, part of your secret to success might just be this balance of passion versus work and taking time for family. I mean, I think you're just really good at balancing all that, and that's given you a really good mental place to even be in. Which, mental health is a topic you hear a lot of people talking about today, because there's a lot of people out there struggling with this kind of challenge. How do you keep that balance, and what would you say to others that maybe haven't found that in life, and how they might be able to attain it?
It's tough. Mental health is so important, and all of us can slip down these bad paths. And like, so yeah, I mean, I definitely think, my zest for life, or my enjoyment, my passions in life, like, I think it definitely keeps me happy and keeps me occupied. I notice too, like, we grow through challenge, and I challenge myself in this life a lot, and I take on a lot at times. And so, definitely in my younger years, like, the stress and anxiety would get to me, and I don't like conflict. And I want people to like me, and not always like me when I'm working for them, but yeah, I want them to be happy with me and the product that I'm producing. And a lot of that's through communication and being able to articulate what a good deal they're getting, or what a quality home they're getting, being able to explain it in their terms, being able to explain your billings to know exactly where their money's going. And so, like, a lot of this has just been learned throughout time, and the more of these situations and challenges that I handle gives me confidence for ones in the future. And so, I try not to stress over these decisions when they come my way. I try to make decisions, or if I have a problem, I try to address it, get through it, and move on. And so, I think I've just got better at handling it through life. And I think you're right. Like, your assessment of balance in my life is what keeps me happy. Being able to go chase my passions out on the mountains, or being able to spend that quality time with my family, or being able to produce a good construction project. Like, I think they all go hand in hand, and I think that balance is really important. And I'm not perfect, and I've definitely struggled with it. And doing this new house, it's like, I mean, I can't even tell you, like, my list of problems. Like, the reason I'm a successful contractor is because I can get through these problems, and can move on and get better from them. But I've dealt with every problem there is. Like, it's construction. Like, if it can go wrong, it will. And like, I get really good at foreseeing these things, and really good at managing expectations and getting through them. But I mean, I could just run you through my last 2 weeks of, like, even my personal house, and the loan came through, and it wasn't the right money. And then it's debt to income ratio, and it's you're playing the game of value and appraised value that you're trying to lease from. And so, you're dealing with all these bank things. And then my excavator couldn't get to different projects, so I thought I'd hire this new kid that was really hungry, that had a bobcat, that he could do some of my smaller work and some backfills and some roads, and tried him out, and he gave me a huge bill that was about double the cost that it should have been. And so I'm having to negotiate with him, and I'm able, it's like I always pay my bills, and usually I never have anything to say on a bill, but this one was ludicrous. And so, it was like, had to find out like what I'm being billed an hour. I have to find out what he's charging me for machinery, what his up rate is, what he's charging for me for construction debris, and try to negotiate this bill to a reasonable place. And ultimately, I ended up absorbing some of it myself because I had a responsibility hiring this kid for the contracted job I was doing. I had a responsibility to the owners, and so I had to pull some of my own profit out to make sure that he got paid, to make sure that my owners were still satisfied. And I mean, like the mud bearing lumber trucks, like, I mean, this is just in the last few days, like that is my life. But I get good at like handling all these issues as they come, because I've been through all these things before, maybe with a different sub, maybe with a different contractor, but I just know that I'm smart enough that I can figure it out. I can find a solution. Instead of focusing on the problem, I focus on the solution. I really work hard for my clients to give them a good house and to get them the best deal on that house they can. And so, I have a responsibility to fight on their side of things for, some items that come up, or some subcontractors or whatever it is. So I have to look at it through their lens. They hired me to be responsible for their job. So I think I think balance. And then, I think it's just getting good at like handling this stress and this pressure, and being able to let it wash over your back, and just know that everything will be okay. I've always figured everything out no matter what it is, and I'll continue to figure everything out as it comes. And so I just try not to take that home with me. I try not to be miserable in the stress. I try to deal with it and then move on with my life, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does, and it's funny because I was planning to ask you, what it seems like you're just winning at life. Like you're winning. Like everything you're doing, you're pouring yourself into, you're putting your heart and soul into it, you're succeeding, and it just seems like you've figured some of these things out to where you're just not going to do anything unless you do it well, and you're all in. And my question was going to be, what does it take for you to be able to achieve those things? And maybe that was just what you answered in advance of my question.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it's just trying to do my best. Like I know, you know, I'm not the smartest. I know that, it's like there's really good builders out there, but I do know that I produce a good product, and that I'm a good leader and can build a good home. And so just having confidence in that, and being able to lead on these projects. But it is like you're taking responsibility. This is the most money these people will ever pay for an investment. They're building a home. They're really entrusting a lot into me. And so, I don't take that responsibility lightly. Like, I think that's where situations can go bad. And so, like, I really try to work hard to produce the absolute best house I can, to get this client the best information, to make the best decisions, to ultimately build a house that they're happy with in the end, and then happy with me as a contractor. And they pass on my name, and I continue to get work and be able to live in this elk-filled valley, where I can chase bulls and chase bears and chase all the things that I like to do. So that seems to be it.
Well, that's just completely awesome. So, I think as we've talked and gone through this conversation, I mean, there's a lot of layers to the Brian Barney onion, obviously, but I think for me, I mean, I know a lot of contractors. I mean, tens of thousands, literally, just from the business I'm in to the business I was in before, and the subs, and the people in this valley, and I think a lot of the advice that you've shared, and the wisdom from your experience, it applies to most all of them. It doesn't matter if they've got 5 employees or 5,000. Like these principles are, I think, the keys to success for any business owner, any entrepreneur, anybody who wants to win at life. And I just really, really love that you came on today and shared this wisdom with our listeners. What would, from your estimation, what would you want the listeners to take away from the conversation that we've had today? If there's one thing.
Life's out there, go and get it. Like, you got one chance at this thing, and it takes time. We're all at different places in our journey, and so figure out what kind of life you want to live and what that looks like. what kind of field you want to work on, and work hard and go get it. Like, it's out there for all of us. This life you want to create, whether that's the passions you want to chase, whether it's the business you want to build, the life you want to create for you and your family. Like, the opportunity is out there. It just doesn't come overnight. You have to master your craft. You have to figure out what it is that you want to do, and then you have to really work hard to be as good as you can be at it. And then once you get there, you'll get to a place where you can be a lead man, or maybe have an opportunity to start a business of your own. And once you start that business of your own, it's not easy street. You don't hire everything out or hire guys and expect them to do the job that you want done. You have to be there and you have to lead. And, it was starting out in my business. It was my partner and I, and we worked that way for, 6, 7, 8 years to build our reputation before we could hire our first employee. Maybe it was 5 years or so until we could hire our first employee. And then we've been able to hire guys and put them in place and build this business. But you definitely can't phone it in. And now that I built this business for 20 years and have this great reputation, I'm able to be gone more. I'm able to enjoy some of these hunts I want to go on. And I've been able to mentor these guys into great carpenters and great workers that really represent my business and the quality of work we can do. And so, I can leave a little bit more. I can make sure that I'm there for my family, but it doesn't come without sacrifice in the beginning. So I think you just figure out the life you want to live and the life you want to lead, and go get it. And there's opportunities for side hustles and side businesses out there. If you're hungry and if you want it bad enough, there's some opportunity out there.
All right. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, Brian. Really appreciated having you on today, and just wanted to wrap up with one final question, if I could. What skill would you say that you've kind of developed that you would call your superpower?
Yeah, that's a tough one. As like, you wear so many hats, like when you run a business. But I would say, like, the one thing that I think helps my business thrive is just my ability to communicate, to be able to communicate and articulate to my clients, why they're getting a good job, or why a bill is what a bill is, or like what they should choose for siding, and being able to walk them through the different choices and giving them the pluses and the minuses. Being able to communicate with my guys, being able to explain, what I want or what I'm trying to achieve with the build, or how I need something installed, or just making sure that no corners are cut and that we're building the best house that we can. And then being able to communicate with these subs. This small community, it presents its own set of challenges as far as working with these guys' schedules. And, we only have a handful of electricians or a handful of plumbers. And so, if we burn those bridges by pushing too hard or wanting those guys there on the exact day, we can burn those bridges, and then we lose one of the best subcontractors that does the best electrical work there. And so, like, I really have to work in these guys' schedules, and realize that, they're running a business and that they have lives too. They've got basketball games they have to go to, and volleyball games and things of that nature. And so, like, I just I want those guys to be able to give me a day, and then I have to count on what they tell me. And so, even if they give me a day that's 2 weeks further than my timeline of when I want to get something done, I have to work inside that schedule. And then, my requirement for it is that they show up on the day that they told me. They do what they say they're going to do. So just holding them to those standards, while also, being able to fit inside their schedule. But I would say for all of it, it's just this ability to be able to communicate with my clients and with my guys to be able to have a successful business. So if I had to choose one superpower, I think that would be it. But Mike, thanks so much for having me on, man. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I've appreciated not only getting to know you better, but learning some of your pearls of wisdom and sharing those with our audience. I know they're going to find value no matter what size company they work with or for, or what their aspirations are. I think we've learned some great stuff from your example, and just appreciate all the good that you do, and thankful for our friendship, and hope to do this again down the road.
Likewise. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Brian. See ya.
Thank you for joining us today on the Mobile Workforce Podcast, sponsored by About Time Technologies and WorkMax. If you liked the conversation we had today, or were able to learn anything new or helpful, please make sure to follow us on our WorkMax page on LinkedIn and on Instagram at WorkMax_. And subscribe to the show on iTunes or your preferred podcast platform so you will never miss another insightful episode. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review and share the show with your friends and colleagues. Your support means the world to us and will allow us to continue providing impactful information with others looking to improve their results in their business and, in turn, their life.